Time Capsule, a Time Travel Academy short story for middle grade readers by J. Wilburn. If you like what you read, check out the Time Travel Academy books. Dizzy Villahera never planned to be a time traveler, but now she and her new friends from the year 2225 must work together to preserve the past, protect the present, and save the future. All right. This one may require a lot of changes. I don't know how many of those changes I'm going to make now, but we're going to go through and give it its first edit. There's definitely some places where I could add in if I chose to put in a little more, but we'll see. We'll see what the story calls for in this time around. Dizzy Villahera stood outside the door to the open chamber. It wasn't the high-tech doors of the Time Travel Academy she had grown used to in 2225. It was dirty and ancient even by her standards, some 200 years in the past, which would put her close to our present. Of course, she was stuck here in the future for her, let's say what was the future for her, and this problem needed solving. Meow, that was her friend's real name. No, let me do something beside her. Meow, that was her friend's real name. Nope, not stood beside her. There we go. Name stared into the darkness as well. All right, so we got to do that. How long do you usually wait between finishing the first draft and doing edits? If it's a short story, it's pretty quick, but even with a short story, I prefer to wait at least a day. It helps me to kind of get where I'm not just skipping over typos without seeing them, that kind of thing. And then with short stories, I do them more than once. With a novel, it's ideal to set it aside for a little while. Stephen King says ideally you would set it aside for a month. He wants to get the story completely out of his head, so he's kind of seeing it with fresh eyes. He also says that he tries to edit all the way through in one sitting, which I can't imagine that he does with some of his novels, and he has said that that's difficult at times. But with a novel, a lot of times I'll pretty much start editing it almost immediately after I stop, and in a way I am putting some time in between because I finished the first part so early on that I'm coming back to them fresh. With NaNoWriMo, having finished that novel in November, I'm purposely setting it aside until December so I can come back to it with fresh eyes, and I had other things I needed to finish up that all those days of writing in November kind of got in the way of, so I'm kind of cleaning house here at the end. Also, I don't work all the way through December. On the 10th, I'm going to stop most of my writing work other than streaming on the days that I have that set aside, and then I'm going to pick back up again after Christmas, maybe on the 27th, and then kind of do some more house cleaning because I'll have to do a couple Lit Reactor articles and some other stuff like that before the end of the month. Get back into a couple novels that I've set aside for a while when I did Nano and a few other things, and then just burst right into the new year. So there'll be like a month month and a half basically between the time I finished that novel and when I started editing it. But usually I'm in kind of a hurry, so I almost always go right from writing into editing. As Court by Bernard Cornwell is a great book. Just read it. Listen to it. Audiobook, I guess you're saying. Have you ever had plans to do a historical novel fiction character around a real historic event? I did a good bit of ghostwriting. So I ghost wrote a historical fiction style book on Charlemagne for a particular company that then translated it into German for what they were using it for. I've also done some nonfiction. I co-wrote a biography with a guy who'd kind of been through some tough times, who grew up in like the Appalachia area of the United States, a very poor area, and we worked together to write his life story. And my name's actually on that. That one wasn't ghostwritten, but the majority of the historic fiction. Excuse me, I'm choking. You guys might be able to watch me die on camera. If that ever happens, please subscribe. But the majority of the historic fiction that I've done has been ghost written, but I've done a good bit. The Charlemagne one was the most bulky, massive of those that I'd done. I was pretty proud of that one. Of course, don't have my name on it, so I can't recommend it to anybody. But it is in German if anyone chooses to try to track it down. All right. Beside her, Meow, that was her friend's real name, stared into the darkness as well. Dizzy hadn't thought they would be friends when they first met, but now Meow was one of the only people she could talk to about this stuff. Time was becoming quite a mess. Dizzy had only just discovered that she was still alive in 2225. Of course, she was alive as an 8th grader, but Dizzy, at over 200 years old, was alive in 2025 as well. All right. Mind blowing. All right, here's another. That's a sentence fragment. There you go. And of course, it's from the perspective of this teenage girl. The actual books for this one are written in first person, so I do these extra little short stories in third person. But the stories are done in first person, and she's kind of a playful character in that she talks to the audience and that kind of stuff while they're going through their adventures. Now they were sent to another hidden place. Old Dizzy hadn't been specific about whether she had set up this room or not. She had only messaged Meow and younger Dizzy that it was time to open this place up. All right. Time. See, there's another sentence fragment. There you go. Time. What a mess. Dizzy's mom would call it a hot mess. Dizzy always rolled her eyes when her mom talked like that. She rolled her eyes now as she and Meow stood in front of the open door with musty odors coming out of the cold darkness. I'm waiting for some cursed mummy to come out and grab us, Meow said. Dizzy shrugged. How long do you want to wait for it? Ha ha, Meow rolled her own eyes. You are so old and funny. We could just leave it, Dizzy said. You said it was important, though. Meow narrowed her eyes. Old you, I mean. She said we needed to open it. It must be important for protecting the past. Dizzy sighed and actually saw her breath as it mixed with the cold wafting out of this dirty time capsule room. Everything these days seems important for saving the past. All right. They had already found a diary that the Time Travel Academy had locked away, but not before Meow scanned it. Then Meow started getting messages that she passed on to younger Dizzy. Let's say in secret. Now, they both knew about older Dizzy and her efforts to help them. All right. Okay, Dizzy said finally, trying to portray more confidence than she actually had. Let's check this out. Meow grabbed Dizzy by the arm and halted her outside the door. Maybe you should go... Maybe you shouldn't go in. The best book covers I've seen this year is Poppy War Siri and Witchy Eye. I know you shared a few of your the covers of books you bought on your stream, and they all look good. I'm surprised more people aren't finding those. All right. Meow grabbed Dizzy by the arm and halted her outside the door. Maybe you shouldn't go in. Is it about the mummy? No, I mean... Meow paused and stared into the dark passage as if she were considering the possibility again. Let's see, the possibility of a cursed mummy again. She shook her head firmly, though her eyes still showed fear. I mean, no, not that. Maybe you should wait out here in case there is something about your future you shouldn't know yet. Dizzy laughed, but it sounded... Need to fix the tense there. But it sounded brittle in her own ears. I shouldn't know any of this. I should be going to school in my own time without all this nonsense. Well, yes, but that's what I mean. Maybe someone else should check first to be sure you don't learn something that changes time. Old me sent us, though. Right, but the last time we saw her, old you, said to be careful. Maybe this is what you meant. Maybe this is what she meant. There we go. Time travel's story should always be confusing. All right, so you want to go first? Meow stared through the open door like she was spying mummies again. I mean, I don't want to go in there alone. So we'll go in together. Meow gripped Dizzy's arm harder. No, someone else. Dizzy peeled Meow's fingers away from the red marks that they left on her skin. We have ourselves a paradox. Those can destroy the universe, I'm told. Meow sighed and said, I wish it was just a mummy. Here they are. Both Dizzy and Meow turned with a scream, each that echoed into the mysterious space. They were both thinking of ancient cursed mummies sneaking up from behind them. Of course, that made no sense. The cursed mummies would have to come from the passage, right? The voice belonged to Zane Limbe, one of the other students who had to help Dizzy protect time. With him were Talent and Koi, both friends of Meow, and now friends of Dizzy as well. What are you two up to? Talent demanded. This is miles from the school, Koi added. Zane had to throw in something else as well. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Meow demanded. Are you following us? No, Zane said and looked away. We're just, Talent cut in. Of course we followed you. How would we have found you otherwise? You've both been acting weird for a long time. You've left the school in secret a bunch of times, and you act like we're the crazy ones every time we try to ask you what is going on. So what's going on? Did you tell any of the teachers? Dizzy asked. No, Zane said. I wanted to because that's what we're supposed to do, but I didn't. I might have to depending on what this is all about. Meow rolled her eyes and muttered, He's worse than a cursed mummy. He's a tattletale. And I still can't figure out if it's supposed to be tail or tell. Tattletale? Tattletale. Alright, anyway. Hey, that's not nice, Zane said. What does it even mean? Meow shrugged. I don't know exactly. I learned it from Dizzy. But that is what you are. Dizzy held up her hands. Listen, everybody, just stop. Alright, there needs to be a comma there. Everybody, just stop. I can explain. Everyone waited as Dizzy tried to think of the right words. Wow, she said finally. I really overestimated my ability to sum this all up. This is none of your business, Meow said. We are on a secret mission, so you'll have to go and keep your mouth shut. Keep Zane's tattletale mouth closed, too. Let's say you two. Keep Zane's tattletale mouth closed, too. Hey, Zane said. I don't know what that means, but I'm not that. I haven't told anyone anything yet. Yet, Meow grumbled. No, she wouldn't grumble because you need more syllables to grumble. You have to grunt if it's one syllable. Yet, Meow grunted. Alright, Dizzy spoke in a rush. Meow scanned the diary that was found in the wall under my old house. It was me from after all this. When I apparently wrote out future instructions. Turns out I'm still alive in this time and started sending messages to Meow, who passed them on to me. I figured out it was her, and then we went to see Old Me. Then Old Me said we needed to go here now, but we don't know what is in here, and we're afraid of mummies or destroying the universe in some time paradox. Now who's the tattletale? All right, let me fix that. I'm going to say tail. Tattletale? Tattletale. I don't know. I'm going to look that up later and see how it's supposed to be. Or one of you could look it up. What is it? Tattletale, T-E-L-L, or is it tattletale, T-A-L-E? When you're talking about the person, I mean. All right. What? Zane said. He started. What? Zane said. He started to say something else, but then repeated, what? Dizzy took a deep breath and said, Meow scanned the diary that was found in the wall under my old house. It was me, after all this time. And I was writing out future. Talent said, okay, I don't need a quotation mark there. Just throwing in extra quotation marks are fun. Nothing more confusing than an author who doesn't know where to put his quotation marks. Talent said, no, we got it all. It's just taking us a second to process it. Oh, okay, Dizzy said. I was hoping I wouldn't have to go through it all again. Probably it is fine, Meow said. I can't imagine that old Dizzy would send us into trouble. She already knows how this works out, but we should check it out first to be sure it's safe from young Dizzy to see it all, right? Zane said. Meow, okay, let me say Dizzy was impressed. He had put all that together so fast. say he was a good friend and she had hated keeping secrets from him. All right. Meow swallowed twice. I hate to agree with you, but yes, that's right. We could go in together while Dizzy waits out here, Koi said. All of us can see what's in there together, and then what Dizzy can see without destroying the universe. And if there is a mummy, Zane said, we can all fight it. There's not going to be a mummy, Talent said, and if there is, it won't fight us. It'll just lay there. Let's go. Everyone went in except Dizzy. They turned a corner and were gone. She held both hands on the door and listened. Still, there was no noise. Guys, nothing. See, there's another sentence fragment. Hey, can you hear me? There was an echo, but nothing else. Are you okay? She didn't wait for an answer this time. She stepped into the passage. She only made it a few steps before Meow's echoing voice came back. We're looking through a bunch of stuff in here. Just go sit down and wait. Dizzy stepped back outside. That needs to be a compound word. And sat on the grass in the sun. When I was in kindergarten, that was the first time that I saw the prepositional phrase in the sun. So when it talked about someone sitting in the sun, I kept picturing them inside the actual sun and burning up. And I'm like, I could imagine it, but I'm like, I don't understand why people keep telling stories about other people living in the sun. And eventually I asked my teacher about it, and she explained to me that just meant like the sun is shining. But I was very confused. So I was like, why don't they say sitting in the sunshine? And she said, well, maybe that's a good point, but that's just how it's said. So that's how I learned the phrase in the sun, which I'm now using. And my my kindergarten teacher, wherever she is in the multiverse, is probably proud of me. All right, Dizzy stepped back outside and sat on the grass in the sun. She mumbled, you were the one afraid of mummies. After a long while, Zane came running out. She started to get up, but he shouted, no, stay there, I have a question. Dizzy waited. Zane asked, what's your favorite color? What? He said it louder and slower, like she was dumb. What is your favorite color? I like all the colors, she said, as she stared down at her colorful shirt. If I had to pick one, no, I like them all. Maybe rainbow is my favorite color. Okay, good. He ran back inside without explaining. A little later, Koi stepped out. Dizzy started to get up, but Koi said, I just have a quick question. Dizzy sat back down. What was your favorite pet? My dad had. Dizzy thought for a moment. No, it was a turtle. She frowned, but didn't say anything. Koi frowned, but didn't say anything. Dizzy started again. No, it was a goldfish. Koi smiled. What was its name? The fish? Dizzy thought. I think it was Booger. What was the fish's full name? All right, I need to put that into italics. Full name. It was a fish, Dizzy said. I was 3 years old and no, wait, I remember. It was Commander Booger, Master of the Oceans. Koi nodded. Okay, good. She ran away. Dizzy called after her. What's going on? We'll be done soon, Koi said, and then was gone. And again, there's this extra say talent came out next. She stopped in the passage doorway and called. She stopped in the passage doorway. I'm going to stop there. Dizzy didn't bother getting up this time. Didn't bother getting up this time. Okay. All right. What did she do? Talent called out. Who was your boyfriend in 9th grade? What? Talent sighed and started to repeat herself slower and louder. Who was your... Okay, hold on. I need to do One of those M dashes. Okay. Stop. I'm not even in 9th grade yet. And I don't have a boyfriend right now. Talent nodded. Okay, good. Then she was gone. Good. Okay, good. Then she was gone. Good, Dizzy said to herself. Who is asking all these questions? All right. This continued all afternoon, with Zane, Talent, and Coy coming out with more and more questions. What happened at the beach when you were 5 after you got stung by a jellyfish? What car did you love the most when you were 7? What did you want to be when you grew up back when you were 9 and you stopped watching cartoons for a week? What did your aunt get you for Christmas that made you think she was a witch? Why did you stop eating avocados? I just threw that in. What was the secret password for your clubhouse the summer you were 10? This went on and on. There were also other questions, like the first one Talent asked that she could not answer. What was your first car? Where did your mom take you after you graduated? All right. When did you buy your first house? Once you got your own job. What sport did you play in college? How could she possibly know any of those things? And why were they asking? All right. Good stuff. Finally, Meow stepped out of the tunnel for the first time since she had gone in. Dizzy looked up with weary eyes and waited for another question. Meow did ask one. What are you waiting for? Come on. Dizzy stood up and walked toward Meow slowly. Her legs were numb from sitting on the ground. What's in there, Meow? A lot of stuff, she said. Come and see. Why were you asking me so many questions? We just wanted to be sure all of it was real. Let's say... And we had to see which ones you could answer. How did the questions help? Where did you get them? Meow said, the boxes had questions on top and answers underneath. We were only supposed to open the ones you knew the answers to. Why? Meow shrugged. This all doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but there is a bunch of stuff we need to look at look at now. You know who my 9th grade boyfriend will be? Meow looked away. Don't ask. Don't ask me. And you shouldn't look. Is it bad? How would I know? It was 200 years ago. But for me, it hasn't happened yet. All right, heading off to sleep, Kedman. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. It's good to have a friend on the other side of the world. All right. But for me, it hasn't happened yet. So you shouldn't ask. Let it be a surprise, and don't destroy the universe to find out. Okay? Dizzy stared into the dark a moment longer. Meow took her hand and said, "No cursed mummies, I promise. Let's go together." And they went inside the strange capsule together. No, let's not say together. Let's say hand in hand. Hand in